Good evening, folks. Nice to see a few of you in already. So here we are for another Monday Night Live. So tonight's oh, I think I've got a little bit of feedback there on my camera. Let me just turn that on to mute. Right. So tonight's video, I thought what we'd do for a subject tonight is we talk about how you can build bigger armies and get them on a table faster. And one of the reasons this has cropped up is I was listening to a podcast on my drive to work this morning. I was working in Manchester. So for those that don't know, it's about a 3.5 hour drive for me. So I tend to listen to quite a few podcasts. And I was listening to a Kings of War podcast. And one of the things they were talking about was that one of the biggest barriers of getting into these bigger scale games is about just getting those 100, 150, 200 models, getting them ready and getting them on the table. That tends to be the barrier. So I thought we'd talk about that tonight. We'd talk about what are the barriers to getting into these games. What can we do to kind of break some of them down, and hear some of your ideas as well about what you've done to get into these bigger games. Games like Kings of War, like Age of Sigmar, like Warhammer 40,000, Bolt Action, and I guess to some extent now into Star Wars Legion as well. So let's see who we've got in the chat on this early point of the night. So we've got, I'm going to start with, here we go. So we've got Jens in. Nice to see you, Jens. Hope you're very well, mate. We've got Mark's in. I want to hear about this LED dice tray as well that you've just been talking about. We've got Phil Wilkinson in. Nice to see you, Phil. We've got Red Beam Designs. I assume that's Graham. I can't imagine Kirsty would really want to watch me. Certainly a good bit of news today about Red Beam Designs as well. So no doubt we'll chat about that at some point. And we've got Steve's in as well from Steve's Small World. Nice to see you, Steve. And we've just got Apollo Syndrome has just snuck in there as well. So not a name I recognise. So nice to see you too. Let me just... Oh, that was it. My live chat all disappeared there for a second. So I guess while we're waiting for a few more faces to get in, I think it's probably worth we start with a little bit of news from Graham at Red Beam Designs. So I saw today on emails, and I saw on Facebook that for those that don't know, Graham runs Red Beam Designs with his wife Kirsty, and they announced a little while ago that they were getting ready to kind of to close down the business, not for any reason, any issues with the business or any kind of financial things. It was purely just down to the fact that there was actually probably too much workload. And it wasn't really giving Graham and his family time to spend together, really. So, I think I'm paraphrasing there, Graham. I hope that's okay. But the great news today was that somebody has come in and purchased the business from Graham. And that company was War Cradle Studios. So, War Cradle, for those that don't know, are the company behind Wild West Exodus. And they also have all of the Dystopian Legions and Dystopian Wars games now as well. And they have just recently mentioned it that they're releasing some MDF terrain. So it looks like from now on they're going to be releasing quite a bit more. So congratulations to you, Graham. I'm glad that the real good work that you put in with Red Beam Designs is going to be carrying on now, and it's good to see that all of your hard work is going to kind of still be available for anybody that's already started buying into it. So well done, mate, and I'm really glad to see that things have panned out as you would have hoped, I guess, at this point. So we've got a few more faces in now as well. We've got Scouting the Web. So nice to see you, mate Lee. How you doing? Hope you're all right. We've got Mean Green. Boom, he says. He's in there. We've got Tim Kelly. We've got Wee Green Stunties as well. Let's have a quick look, see if we've got anybody else that snuck in the back door. Yeah, so I think we've got 20 people viewing tonight. That's not too bad for 5 minutes in. I'll take that every time. So for those that have just joined us, the subject for tonight is about how do we get big armies on the table faster. There's a real kind of barrier to these bigger scale army games, certainly for anybody that's never played them before. So it's really tonight's chat is about what are those barriers, what stops us playing those bigger games. And I'll get some tips from you guys as well about what have you done to try and get your armies on the table quicker. And as I mentioned, I was listening to a Kings of War podcast this morning, and that was what kind of triggered this. They were talking about the barriers So games like Kings of War is that getting the 100, 150, 200 models onto the table before you can even play a game. And with Star Wars Legion just coming out last week, I've just started painting my Star Wars Legion armies, and my intention is to get it done quickly, to get them on the table and not get stuck in that grey plastic minis, part painted kind of hell I normally end myself in. So we've got Jay's just come in from Tabletop Oddity. Nice to see you, Jay. Jay has his channel is mainly devoted to Star Wars Legion at the moment, and he has been churning out videos like nobody's business. I find myself struggling to get sort of 2 or 3 videos a week. He's been doing like 2 or 3 a day or something recently, so absolutely smashing them out. Graham at Red Beams just saying, cheers, dude. Yeah, I'm really pleased for you, mate. I'm glad it's carrying on. John Whitesnake, hiya, John. I know you were the first one in and then you seem to disappear, but you're back. You're saying, love the t-shirts, just got me too. Well, thank you very much. For those that don't know, I do have a few t-shirt designs that are available to purchase. There's a link in, actually I think it's on the Facebook group. I'll try and put a link in the bottom of the video description as well. Jay is saying, you know what needs to be a thing of the past for bigger armies? Mold lines. Do you know what it is? When I unboxed my Star Wars Legion, I was saying about how there was very minimal mold lines. I was quite impressed that I didn't really see any. As soon as I primed them, every single one just seemed to appear now. And I'm almost at the point of like, you know what, bugger it. Once it's painted and it's on there, I'm not going to stress about it. What else we're looking at here? Mean and Green scene. I thought I'd done well with 30, not 100. Yeah, do you know? I think what I tend to do, and we're kind of getting into the chat now, I guess. What I tend to do is I think I always want to try and paint models to the best of my ability, and that's not a bad thing to be. However, it always gets me bogged down, and I never get the armies painted. So what I'm doing with my Star Wars Legion this time is, I'm saying tabletop, and please don't think I'm kind of dismissing tabletop standard as a poor thing. It's just not normally what I paint. I normally try and go that little bit extra mile. This time I'm not. I'm doing basic primer with a coloured primer. I'm doing the base coats. I'm doing a wash, and I'm doing a few highlights just to try and clean it up a little bit. And I'm just getting them on the table. I'll spend a little bit of time on the basin because I think the basin can definitely distract you from for what I would say my own personal an average paint job. I think that if you do a decent base, that'll take the eye away. So I think that's one thing that we'll get chatting about. Jason, he's had a few days off. I die doing it all the time. I know when I was doing daily videos a little while ago, I got into a routine of doing it and I was really enjoying it, but it was just ideas. I needed to keep the ideas going, and I never got the chance to kind of be 2 or 3 days ahead with the video like I'd like to be. I ended up getting a little bit kind of almost recording early in the morning, going to work while it was uploading, coming in from work, getting it ready to go, and just trying to get into that cycle of it kind of thing. Jens is saying, really good to be informed so many times from Tabletop Oddity. Yeah, anybody that's just picked up Star Wars Legion, get yourself over to Tabletop Oddity channel, get into the background of a lot of stuff that he's been uploading. There's things about building your armies, there's things about what to kind of like, what's some of the better builds or what's some interesting builds. There's stuff in there about how to build loads of really good scenery tutorials. So yeah, get yourself a crossover to there. Apollo Syndrome saying he's got 150 plus free guild infantry on your painting table at this moment, and the only thing keep me going is watching YouTube vids like this. Keep up the good work, mate. Do you know what? I probably would have forgot to mention that actually, but having something to distract you as well, or something to listen to, or something to kind of watch in the background, whether it be Netflix or whether it be YouTube videos, is a really, really good idea. And you almost just get into the flow of it, don't you? Rather than just sitting trying to concentrate, you just get into that rhythm of painting, really. So yeah, glad you're enjoying it. We've got Phil saying Battle Force and Star Collecting boxes, great way for multiple better priced troops. It's definitely one of the real positive things that Games Workshop's done in the last however long it's been now, 12 months, is those Start Collecting boxes. Jason is not bothered about the painting because I think I'm not that good anyway, but mold lines are an effort and a time and thing. Yeah, if the mold lines are not too bad, I wouldn't stress about them too much, but sometimes they're just... I've had like, I can't remember which models it was now, it might have been a Walking Dead model actually, but there was one where there was a mold line kind of down the face, and it was like, I have to try and clean that up. I can't leave that one, certainly. Jay's saying he's going tabletop like that as well. Yeah, I put a couple of pictures up yesterday, I think, in the Facebook group about some of the ones I'm kind of pointing here where they are behind me. Some of the ones I kind of started in the. I think maybe I'm being a bit harsh on myself, really, but I think they look all right. I'll be happy when they're all done. When I've got like those 14 troops all together, I'll be happy with them. Jens is saying, I want Star Wars as fast as possible painted because I want to play it on Wednesday. Today I primed them. That's me as well. I've been reading through the rules again. I've been reading the online reference stuff. I've been watching a couple of videos as well just to get myself up to speed while I've been painting. And I want to get it on a table and I want to get it played. But if I start playing it without painting them, that'll be as far as they get, I think. John saying, do an assembly line with bigger armies, all the whites first, all the blacks. Learn that with battle law. There's definitely a good kind of production way to do it, and I'll come on to that in a second. Actually, I'll just go through a bit more of the chat, but I'll come back to that one, John. Jamie's in tonight as well, saying, evening folks, sorry we're late. Just not acceptable, mate. I mean, what time have we got here? We've got like 12 minutes past 9 now. That's just nice to see you in, mate, and congratulations from the weekend as well. Jamie was down at, I think it was at Warhammer World, wasn't it? Playing a doubles AOS tournament and got best destruction army. So congratulations to you and your partner there, mate. I'm not sure who your doubles partner was, actually, but congratulations to the both of you. Jay is saying about halfway on the mold lines. Videos have been coming first before actually making your own army. I almost messaged you, actually, the other day, Jay, just to see how you were getting on with it, but I assumed you were on radio silence. You were just churning out them videos, so I thought I'd give you a bit of a space. We've got War Vision Gaming 40k in, saying woot. Nice to see you too. Steve saying batch paint first, like blocking in for about 10 figures, split it down to about 3 or 4 when doing the details. Yeah, what I see is one way when you're trying to build a big army is really not to bite off more than you can chew. Some people go out and they buy their entire army and they have it all lined up in front of them. There's boxes piled up at the side of the table and there's just sprues everywhere. And when you look at it, you just get so kind of daunted by the whole thing. And that for me is it's a real sort of turn off. And what I've tried to do from now on with when I'm building my armies, I'm consciously just buying one unit or buying a box, a core box or a starter box, whatever it is, and trying not to get like sort of ahead of myself. Once I've kind of set myself them little limits. Once I paint them, I'll buy the next one. And that's how I'm trying to do that with Star Wars as well, because I did have everything pre-ordered and I ended up cancelling my pre-orders and just trying to get myself, right, I'm going to start off with that core box and I'm going to paint that core box. And if I get through that, then I'll kind of treat myself to the ATR, the ATSTs and that kind of stuff. So that's where I'm trying to get to, I think. We've got John is saying, man, I put on a good Audible book, just get in the zone, but hard to keep the motivation up sometimes. I listen to quite a few audio books as well. I tend not to when I'm painting. I do when I'm in the car. I'm actually listening to Ready Player One again for about the 4th time now. Love that audio book. For those that are not aware of Ready Player One, it's quite a sort of a geeky kind of story. There's a movie coming out. I think it's this Thursday now, a Steven Spielberg adaptation of the book. But it's a book which is basically set in the future. But has a real kind of geeky 80s feel about it. Excellent story if anybody's not read it. Jens is saying, yeah, Walking Dead had them sometimes, only got 2 walkers done, and now Star Wars interrupted everything. I think it was Lee that was saying, actually, scouting the web on here, if anybody sees his name popping about. It was Lee mentioned the other day that he's just seeing everywhere on Facebook is Star Wars stuff at the minute. So for me, I guess I'm looking for it because I'm kind of really getting into it. But I think if you haven't bought into it or you decided purposefully not to get into it, I feel like it must be everywhere at the minute. Tim is saying he primed all his Star Wars Legion stuff. Let me just make this chat a little bit bigger for me because it's starting to go quite fast at the minute. Primed all his Star Wars Legion stuff over the weekend, taking your time, sat in a travel lodge painting my rebels right now. That's the kind of thing, that's me. The problem with the travel lodge is the fact that the TVs are never in the right place when you're sitting at that desk painting, and sometimes the light's not the best. So you need to have a little light with you as well. We've got Phil is saying he's putting together his I can never pronounce it, Zinch. He's putting together his Zinch tonight. Is that a new army or is it an expansion for a current one? War Vision Gaming saying I hate resin. I kind of go up and down with resin. Sometimes I really hate it when there's sort of like loads of the little structures, like the little forget what they're called now, not the flash, but like basically the supports. That's what I was trying to think of. All the supports and stuff on it. Gets dead frustrating. Tim saying not going to let working away from home stop me. That's the way, mate. Do you know what? Is working away from home is the best time to be doing that kind of stuff because there's no distractions. You haven't got to do the washing. You haven't got to make dinner for everybody. You haven't got to look after kids. You haven't got to do the chores, the housework stuff. You can just get your head down and get the painting done. So that's the way to do it. Jimmy saying build 5 and paint 5. 5 is definitely my limit. I know now through experience from kind of trying to get into it. If I try to do more than 5 at a time, I get completely kind of just I get bored of painting it, blocking in the same areas. So yeah, it's 5 for me as well. War Vision Gaming saying he's just done with Samuel on his Corvus, man. They should make him from plastic. Yeah, it's there's some expensive costs in tool and plastic stuff, but I'm with you. I think after years of when I first kind of got into gaming, I did a lot of stuff with Malifaux because it was small sort of sized skirmish stuff. And it was all the metals back then, and it wasn't until I'd had quite a bit of time away from kind of Games Workshop miniatures, coming back to plastics was like, oh, I forgot how easy this was with the plastics. So always go for squads so you have the same colours on them. Yeah, it's not a bad way to do it as well, and don't go for big squads more than 10. Apollo Syndrome saying I find it critical about my own work, and I could take weeks on one model if left to do so. I find once I get 5 or more done, their base and their squad, they seem to look much better. That's a really good point, and that's if you just do one model in isolation, you tend to be very critical of it. You see where it's not quite perfect, or you think I could have done that better, or I should have spent more time on that, or I haven't done the eyes, or I've made a mess of the eyes. You get 4, 5, 6 models together in a little group, and all you see is like just as how good it looks. So those little issues that you look at when you're just looking at that one model, they'll disappear when you get 4, 5, 6 models together. So it's a great point that. Phil's saying he agrees, tempting to buy more when there's already minis to paint. I've done it for years. I've got shelves full of stuff unpainted, and it's always that kind of shiny-itis or trying to build the army. Or I want to build my list and then I want to buy it all, or maybe I can get a bigger discount online by buying more together. All I end up doing is just swamping myself in models. John saying, I like that. Reward yourself with the expansion when you finish the core box. There's a thing about painting where if you paint yourself a troop of 10 models and then reward yourself by painting like a general or a leader or a character or something like that and spend a little bit more time on them, that's one way to do it with that. But I've really started to try and do it with my armies and my miniatures. I'm only going to buy something else for that particular game. I'm only going to buy something else once I've painted those ones, and that's exactly what I'm doing with my Star Wars stuff. Otherwise, I'll get swamped with it again. Apollo's saying he knowing when to stop and go on to the next model. There's a real kind of point where you can go from when a model looks great or it looks good enough, you can go too far in. You can almost ruin it, and then you're trying to pull it back to where you had it. There's an element sometimes to just if you feel like you're getting to that point, stop. Put it to one side and come back to it the next day and kind of look at it with fresh eyes, because when you're so ingrained in it and you're just sitting so close, there's a temptation to keep trying to make it better. So yeah, there's definitely get it to a standard and then move on to something else and come back to it the next day. You'd be really surprised kind of how you feel about it in like after a night's sleep kind of thing. JC started listening to audiobooks, enjoying them. Do want to concentrate on the bit of the book more than what I am doing. What are you listening to, mate? Have you got a particular type of book that you're into? Is it like sci-fi stuff? Are you listening to Star Wars stuff? I actually sat on was it Sunday afternoon, I think it was, or it might have been Saturday actually. It was Saturday. Sitting on Saturday afternoon, I had Star Wars on the laptop, sitting watching the movie, sitting painting my miniatures, and I honestly I felt like a little kid at Christmas again. It's the first time in a long time I've been really motivated to get painting and get that army on the table. So yeah, Star Wars has definitely kind of piqued my hobby again. Leave scouting the web saying it's a mega distraction. Star Wars everywhere. Lots of excited players building and painted up. I'll come on to this. I think I don't know whether to do a video about it. Or I don't know. Maybe it's next Monday's live stream. But I do have this real worry about Star Wars Legion that two factions, and from reading the rule books, it does mention that there's two factions. So I don't think there's any real kind of sort of immediate ideas of bringing in a third faction. I do worry that will it just become a little bit not stale, but will we get sick of playing the same couple of armies? And I don't, at the minute, I haven't seen a lot of people with kind of unique paint schemes. So I'm wondering. It does worry me a little bit, but it won't stop me. But it does worry me a little bit. Tim is saying he's brought his lamp with him. That's the way to do it, mate. Steve saying he picked up the Forge Bane and Star Wars was out for a demo at the store. Managed to only come with my Forge Bane and paints. My willpower must be getting stronger. What's your thoughts on the Forge Bane set? Have you opened it up yet? Have you made a start? How you liking that? Jamie saying doubles partner was Chris Coles. Took a great Goblin army. Congratulations, Chris. Well done, mate. He was the Hannibal to my face. A real A-team. I always thought of you, Jamie, as more of a Murdoch, if I'm honest. I think I think there's a secret crazy streak in there somewhere. John saying, can we have a hype day once a week where you go live and we can hype each other up to get motivated? Share music playlist and whatnot. Is that how I should? Next week's live video will start with the Rocky theme tune. We'll get everybody hyped up for a bit of painting and stuff. Jens is saying, often money will let you think about jumping to a new tabletop. Walking Dead and Star Wars are quite cheap compared to GW stuff. There's a lot of people are kind of saying that the Star Wars is very reasonably priced compared to Games Workshop stuff. I think one of the comparisons I saw this week was one of the Imperial Knights, which was about £80, I think. I might be getting these prices wrong. Compared to one of the AT-STs from a size comparison point of view, and that was I forget now, was it like 50 quid or something? And just how much kind of, the Games Workshop one's more detailed and it's a bigger kit and all that kind of things. But in reality, two big models, there was quite a big price premium between them. Jamie saying discounts online, what a novel idea. Yeah, I wonder why you're saying that, mate. Miniature Peyton, hello, mate. Almost missed you. Nice to see you, mate. How are you doing? I haven't seen you in a little while. We had a brief chat the other day. So for anybody that doesn't know, Michael from Miniature Painting there has an excellent YouTube channel as well. Get yourself over and check out Michael's channels. Nick's in as well. Hope you didn't miss much. Nick, there's always plenty more to go, mate. Always good to see you. And you can always catch up with the other bits another time. Lee scouting the web, he's saying, with Warhammer 40k in particular, buying your army or a few kits in one go isn't always a bad thing. The reason being lots of kit bash well together, and it's good to have choice. I wouldn't disagree with that, actually. You're right, mate. There is a lot of kit bashing and stuff, but for me, that's like almost a second army kind of thing for me. I need if I'm new to a game and I want to just get an army on the table, I think those kind of things are almost an afterthought for me personally. I want to just try and get the models onto the table, get them painted, get them played, and then I think I'll almost in the background maybe start a second army and maybe take a bit more time over it and nice kit bashing and fancy bases and stuff when the pressure isn't on about just kind of to get them gaming. But yeah, you're right, especially with Games Workshop stuff. Jason is reading his Dark Materials, Northern Lights. Oh, or rereading that, I should say. Never heard of it, mate. I'll have to check it out. Miniature Painting. So Michael's saying building bigger armies, it's a Mantic tagline. Are we talking Mantic here? To be honest, it was as I've mentioned it a couple of times at the start, it was listening to a Kings of War podcast on my drive this morning that actually prompted me to kind of think about this really. And they were talking about Vanguard, and I'll come on to kind of small skirmish games feeding into the bigger army scale games, and about one of the barriers to playing these bigger games. So games like 40k, games like AOS, games like Kings of War, games like Warpath, and now Star Wars Legion. Some of those barriers are just that sheer, I've got to go from nothing to like 100 models or something to get playing. So yeah, that was what prompted it. So yeah, there is a bit of a Mantic thing in there as well. Lee saying, I thought that, but then X-Wing works well. Have to wait and see how it progresses. Yeah, I think the thing with X-Wing is there's quite a few ships, and it's there's a bit of variety to them. Where I think at the minute, with Legion, we've got Rebel Troopers, and then we've got a slight variance on Rebel Troopers, and then we've got Stormtroopers, and then we've got Snow Troopers. And I hope it doesn't pan out this way, but I can see it being a lot of kind of mirror matches and stuff for quite a long time until there's enough new stuff out that we start to see different armies. TNG Productions are in. Nice to see you, matey. Is that Tom that's in? Which one of the two years is it? Let's just find out. Jamie's saying, yeah, but the AT-ST is a box on legs. And Jens is saying it's nice legs. It is a box on legs, to be fair. But then I guess a lot of the Star Wars stuff are pretty much boxes on legs. Steve is saying, I looked through the Forge Bane box, looks great. His son had a read through it, but he's being good. Must finish Necromunda stuff first. So aiming for May start on 40k stuff. For anybody that hasn't checked out Steve's YouTube channel as well, so Steve's Small World, he's got some really good 3D printed kind of kit bashed Necromunda terrain, so it's worth going over and checking out his channel to have a look at those. John's saying he's following the painting tutorials with Star Wars Legion, going to try and do it from what I've learned over the last year. Yeah, there's some really good, I think it's I always pronounce his name wrong, Sarastro. Does some really good tutorials. They're a bit more, I wouldn't say they were in-depth, but I would say they're definitely a step up from kind of tabletop standard. He does some quite sort of intricate stuff with them at times. But yeah, he's got a real nice kind of a manner of how he presents them over. Michael is saying Kings of War and Vanguard, best games, period. Yeah, do you know what it is? Kings of War is a game I really, really want to play. And it's the barrier of this big army thing, which again is what's kind of prompted me into this conversation. I want to share some of my ideas. I want to hear some of your ideas about how do we get those kind of big army scale games get to the table fast. Because Kings of War, because you can multi-base them, I think it's sometimes that's a little bit daunting in itself, because it's not just a case of kind of there's one model. It's kind of almost building mini dioramas as well. So what's your thoughts on that, Michael? Nick is saying Legion doesn't really interest you. Too basic and generic looking. Very controversial, Nick. I'm sure there's plenty of other people feel exactly the same way as well, actually. To say it's basic, I'm not sure it's basic yet. I think the rules actually seem quite interesting. What I would say is, Fantasy Flight have wrote quite a tight rule set from what I can see. They've really thought about the words used in the rules before they've kind of gone to print. There's things about, if it says cannot, regardless of whether it's on a card or whether it's in the rule book, that rule takes precedence. So if you cannot do something, nothing else can affect that. And I think there's just little things in there that they've really kind of thought about gamers' questions while they're playing. So that really interests me. I would say if the themes, if you're not into Star Wars, there's nothing new massively in there to attract you to it. So that's one thing about it. Michael's saying for Vanguard, you only need about 8 to 10 models. He's played against Rob at Mantic HQ. It was one of the best gaming experiences in a long time. The gameplay is so good. I met Rob face to face for the first time a couple of weeks ago, and he's a really nice guy. Actually, I've planned to go back to Mantic at some point as well and spend a bit more time with him. So yeah, the only thing with Vanguard is, I would say, is you need so few models to play Vanguard versus Kings of War, and because of the multi-basing aspect of Kings of War and the individual models for Vanguard, they don't necessarily cross over. That's my only concern with that. But I know you don't have to multi-base, so you can cross them over that way. Jens is saying, I think the new Special Forces Rebels will bring more variation to the game, and they haven't shown us the Imperial stuff until now. Yeah, I think it's more to do with the fact is that I don't think you'll get a lot of variance in the paint schemes. I think people, especially Stormtroopers, you'll get the odd one or two where somebody decides I want to have pink Stormtroopers or something, but the vast majority of people are just going to have white Stormtroopers, or maybe with a little bit of blue on them or something. I just hope that there's enough variance coming through in the next waves that gives it a little bit of something different. John saying, fall in love with Shadespire. Love playing that game. Miniatures have been a blast to paint. Shadespire is definitely It's the perfect game for people like me who don't paint very fast or don't like to paint sort of big batches of stuff. It's a great game. For anybody, I'm sure I've mentioned this before, but go and check out Shade Glass. Just Google Shade Glass and you'll find the Shade Spire website. And also T&G, we're in there as well somewhere. Check out their channel. They've got a few Shade Spire gameplay videos on there. Definitely worth checking out. Memnon6, nice to see you, mate. Hope you're well. You saying played Kings of War. Really didn't like how predictable it is. Sword and Spear Fantasy is a billion times better and uses multi-basing. Not heard of Sword and Spear Fantasy. I'll have to check that out. I've never played Kings of War yet either, so and I never played Warhammer Fantasy, so I'm not sure. By predictable, do you just mean it's kind of you can kind of see what's happening? Maybe if you can kind of elaborate on that a little bit, because I'm not 100% sure what you mean by being predictable. Michael's saying Kings of War multi-basing is a way to go. Take the footprint of the unit, and then go one back. That's the amount of minis. Yeah, I do like those kind of little mini dioramas. It's one of the attractions for me personally. Jamie saying, what's the token to card to model ratio like? FFG love their cards. So, what I would say is the tokens, there's quite a few tokens in the box. I'll give you that because there's tokens for damage, for wound damage. There's tokens for like ion blasts and a few bits and pieces like that for being. There's tokens for activations. There's tokens for if you're kind of suppressed, if you're pinned. So there's quite a few tokens in there. You have a card for each kind of troop, which has all of the information on. You also have your upgrade cards, although there's not. You can't like overly upgrade them. And the way they're doing this is definitely. From what I understand, there's not going to be that case of you need to buy this massive big box set for 60 quid with this one massive model in it, but nobody really wants it. They only want the cards inside. From what I understand, they're trying to not do that. Time will tell, eh? Time will tell. We've got... If I can find where I am. Nick is saying, when I say basic, I mean models seem to look basic. The poses and sculpts aren't jumping out. Yeah, the sculpts in person, I would say, look better than I thought they would. They looked a little bit soft in some of the videos I've seen, and I think this comes down to the fact that Fantasy Flight have spent a lot of money and time really getting the kind of that their videos are absolutely first class. I got into Star Wars Destiny a little while ago, and Star Wars Destiny videos are really high quality videos, and their Star Wars Legion ones are just the same. But what I would say is I wouldn't say they could have done with getting some better, sort of really high-end painters in for this kind of stuff. And I think maybe some of don't get me wrong, the paint jobs are better than the ones I'm doing. But to really show off and sell your game, I'm just surprised that there's not a bit more higher quality paint jobs on them, certainly for them videos. Jamie's saying playing Middle-earth battle companies at Asgard at the moment with a view to move on to full Hobbit strategy battle games later. I've heard a lot about Hobbit recently, as if it's kind of getting a bit of a second wind. Is there something new come out for it recently, or is it just a random coincidence that I've just heard about it? Michael saying multi-base legions 41 unit, a hordes 21. Sorry, yeah. So you're saying you need to add one to it. That was right. No excuses anymore. Yeah, there was always a little bit of this minimum model count stuff and things, wasn't there? Jamie saying personally hunt down and assassinate anyone that paints pink stormtroopers. I can kind of see it coming, really, and it wouldn't surprise me if they've got the 3 Adidas stripes down the side as well and all that kind of stuff. There will be some kind of strange paint schemes just for the hell of it, I think, rather than well, in the same way you get some people like to paint Space Marines random colours as well, I suppose. John saying, it's funny, I seem to lose my motivation when I get to the base of the miniatures. All my Guild Ball miniatures have unfinished bases. If you do nothing else, spend a bit of time on the bases. It is unbelievable the difference that a half decent base makes to a miniature. I was doing these Legion ones the other day, and I wasn't sure. Do I go with kind of like a desert base? Do I go with a woodland base? How do I do it? And it wasn't until I put a little bit of kind of static grass on it, a little bit of clump foliage, it seemed to just come to life. It seemed to give it a bit of a spot colour to the miniature. It was amazing, just that little difference that a base can make. It makes it look sort of even. It makes it look a better miniature than the paint job sometimes is, really. Michael's saying he's interested too. I don't know what did I miss there, mate? Interested in what? Jason, there's 1 billion tokens. Yeah, there is 1 billion tokens, isn't there? To be honest, there's that many I've kind of forgot what they're all for already. Marty's saying, love Shadespire, biggest armies I have. Yeah, to be honest, it's probably I haven't painted all of mine yet, so I can't even say it's the biggest armies I've fully painted either. I need to get back into them at some point. But I'm definitely not doing anything else till I finish my Star Wars miniatures. Then I'll paint my Shadespire ones, I think. Arturo Agent Gamer, nice to see you, my friend. Welcome back again. He says he's giving up on large army games. Skirmish is the future. Been playing Shadespire, Gale Force 9 tanks. The World War II tanks are great. And weathering covers up a lot of painting sins. It's a little bit like Devlin Mud, as it was, and now Agrax Earthshade. It's like Liquid Talent, I think it's been called in the past. Covers up a million little bits of mistakes and stuff. Jamie's saying new Battle Companies rules came out a couple of months ago. That must be why I keep hearing about it. It was it might actually be Kev from I forgot the name of his channel now. Rage Against the Dice. It might have been Kev from there that I've seen. He's been doing a lot of stuff on Hobbit, or he's been talking about it anyway. Jason, are you doing Endor bases? I think that's where they'll end up. They're almost. Have I got any handy? See if we can see here. So, let me get in front of the camera. So that's the kind of. Probably not very much in focus. I've got the autofocus turned off the camera there, but you can kind of see a little bit of grass, bit of sand, and a little bit of clump there, just to kind of give it a bit of colour. Michael saying for Kings of War, nothing is predictable. That's what you're interested in. The player needs to think out of the box to outmaneuver the opponent, be 2 steps ahead. That's kind of how I see it, really. Because you're moving big clumps of stuff around, you do have to think. Quite far ahead, really. Saying while you're doing your legions, don't forget the Stormcast. I don't know if you can kind of see there my painting booth there, my spray booth. Stormcast there as well. They're coming on as well. That's my second unit. There's kind of half done as well. Yeah, lots to get on with. Michael saying keep on the field, block the opponent is a way to go. Yeah, I've never played that fantasy sort of rank and flank game, and I think I need to give it a trial, really, just to kind of. I want to give it a try, but it's quite a big step from going from not playing to getting an army ready, and I don't want to be playing with like bits of paper or something like that. Phil is saying only found the Shadespire Iron Jaws could be used in AOS with points and stats. Yeah, all of the Shadespire armies can be used in AOS. They've all got a stat line, and they've got some kind of special rules for some of them as well. So yeah, it's good that they've kind of bridged them over, really. Jens is saying, yeah, we'll do it like you. Order the play map with one side desert and the other side forest, and we'll do a bit more grassland bases. Yeah, that's kind of where I am, really. I thought I'm going to be playing lots of different kind of battles, I suppose. You know, there'll be snow troopers. I like the kind of the Hoth base, but I didn't want to do more snow bases because that's what I've just done recently with my Stormcast ones. I just wanted to kind of just base them, and then almost what I play on is what I play on. Really, it'll change that often anyway. So, Phil saying cool mini, thank you, Phil. Jens is saying we'll first play more Endor because I've built some Endor trees from Tabletop Oddity. Yeah, the Jay's Endor trees were actually they're excellent. I've been considering building some myself as well, actually. Michael is saying some good channels to sub to. Yeah, so I've kind of if you're asking which are some good channels to sub to, I've mentioned a few earlier on. I mentioned yours, Michael. So Miniature Painting, get yourself over to him as well. Obviously, we've got Jay Tabletop Oddity. I think I mentioned T&G guys were in earlier on as well. Definitely head across to some of those channels. I tend not to do a lot of shout outs for channels because I always feel like I'm missing somebody out. And I'm always kind of like, I don't want it to make it look like I've kind of just got my favorites, or or I'm intentionally forgetting about somebody. So yeah, what I would say is there's loads of good channels, and I do watch lots of different channels. I watch stacks of YouTube when I'm away or when I'm sitting painting and stuff. But yeah, I always kind of I don't always watch a lot of miniature stuff actually on YouTube. I get lost in those kind of YouTube rambles where you click on one video and then you watch the next one. Before you know it, you're watching monkeys painting houses or something, randomly. Jimmy's saying lots of AOS shades by a wall scroll reviews on shade glass. Yeah, I mentioned shade glass as well. Get yourself over there. Nick's saying pretty cool to see a bounty hunter group in Legion. I think a lot of people would like to see that as well. I think they would. It's that kind of the scum and villainy thing from X-Way. I think they'd. I think they'd like to see a third faction. I think Fantasy Flight started with Rune Wars not too long ago, and they seem to get four factions in relatively quickly. And it feels like 3 really is the minimum just to get some variance in there. So as I mentioned before, that's my one concern with Star Wars Legion. It's my one concern. So excuse me while I have a drink. Jamie saying, come down to Asgard, we show you rank and file war games. Jamie, I definitely have to get down there, mate. Do you know what it is? We were talking about getting down for a board game night as well. We need to just set a date in the diary, and I need to just stick to it, because it's almost like as the weeks go by, something crops up and it takes my free time up. If I've got it in my diary, I'll just sort of put a nail in the ground for it. Recently, I just feel like I've got loads on. So I was in Mantic a couple of weekends ago for the Hellboy playtest. I've got we've got Salute coming up in a couple of weeks' time. There's a couple of weeks, maybe a bit longer. So yeah, if anybody's going to Salute, let me know down in the comments. We've got UK Games Expo coming up in June. I've got a holiday coming up in June. I'm at what's it called? I've got Insomnia this weekend. So I just feel like my weekends are filling up, and then obviously work's taking up some of my daytimes, sort of being away with work. So yeah, I just need to get in the diary, mate, and then we'll get some games in. Michael's saying about shouting, not only me, the more peeps in here. Yeah, if there's anybody in the chat, if you've got a YouTube channel and I've missed you out, make sure you shout up. Jay is saying, I have another YouTube which is all NFL and trains. Do you really, Jay? I didn't realise that. You'll have to let me know what that is. Give it a shout in here, mate. I wouldn't mind checking it out with the NFL stuff. Jens is saying, I want Ewoks. Does people think we'll see Ewoks? Do you think we'll see them as a little rebel troop? I think at some point we probably will, but from a scale point of view, they're going to be tiny, aren't they? I'm trying to. I mean, if that's the size of your main troops, are they going to be half the height of that? Do you think? Be interesting to see if we do get them anyway. Steve Smallworld is saying there's loads of channels. Luke's APS, DM, Scotty, Westside, the Craft and Muse, Underdog Painting, list goes on. Yeah, I'll especially give a shout out to Bazza for Underdog Painting. He's another lad from the Northeast. So if you haven't checked out his channel, head across there. I think he's trying to get to 600 subs. So go over and check him out. Luke, I think Luke needs no introduction. He's certainly sweeping the ball with his channels, with his subscriber counts at the minute and his videos. The other two, DM Scotty and Westside and Craft and Muse, not channels I've actually seen before, so I'll check them out myself. Thanks for them, Steve. Jay's saying, not that I make those videos, but the ones I watch. Oh, sorry, mate. Sorry. I thought you said you had another channel. Sorry, I misread that. That's it now. See, you need to start an NFL channel now. Get ready for the new season coming. Lee is saying, haven't inputted about painting big armies yet, but playing more games really helps me. Just a side note, but having regular gaming, maybe setting a goal of playing painted minis only motivates. It's a great shout, that, Lee, actually. I mean, that was how I got into Age of Sigmar, was purely by being down at the club with people like yourself, Lee, and having those small targets. So definitely one thing. But if you're wanting to paint a bigger army, and you've got a gaming friend or somebody at a local club who will get into it with you, set yourself some little targets. So if you say, we're going to paint 250 points worth of models in this next month, say, I want to paint 250 points worth of models, and we're going to have a game with those 250 points. It doesn't matter if it's going to be a half-hour game. It doesn't matter if you play 2 or 3 half-hour games, but we're only going to play with those painted minis. And then next month we'll have another 250 points painted, and we'll have another game. And that was how I got my Age of Sigmar, my Beastclaw Raiders army. That was how I got those painted. It's a great shout, Lee. Michael's saying, I think you need to go the way like X-Wing Scum 2. Yeah, I mean, Jay might correct me on this, but I'm sure I've read something in the rule book that says that there is 2 factions, almost as if they're very definitely set out. There's no kind of like hidden agenda in it. There's 2 factions. I'm sure I've read it in 2 separate bits in the rules. So Jay, if I'm right or I'm wrong, mate, correct me on that one. Gamers ADHD, nice to see you, mate. Hope you're keeping well. I don't know what time. Trying to work out what time it is for you over in New Zealand now. Yeah, check out Dustin's channel. I actually think if you click on somebody's name, if you click on the name in the chat, I think, or if actually there's a little, if you hover over somebody's comment, there's 3 little dots at the side, and then if you click on them, it'll take you through the channel. I hope it doesn't take you off my channel, but yeah, you can subscribe to their channels that way, and you can go and check out and see what they're up to. Where are we now? Michael is shouting Baza. Mark saying, would love to come to Asgard for a board night, but a little too far for me. Whereabouts are you again, Mark? You have told me. Are you London based? Are you? I forget whereabouts you are now, but you have told me before. Jay said it does say in the rule book, but it's online only rule book. It says that the force selection for the light and dark. That's what I've read. Yeah, it says about there's the light side and the dark side, doesn't it? But there is that. I like. Well, the rule book online isn't really a rule book, is it? It's more of a specific ruled reference. But there again, the rule book you get in the box, it says a learn to play rule book as well. So it's a bit of a funny one, that, isn't it? It doesn't say that my thing for getting bigger armies done is stop cleaning mold lines and stop looking at heavy metal quality paint jobs for rank and file. That man hit the nail on the head there. Stop comparing your paint jobs to these Games Workshop full-time miniature painters. Please don't anybody take this as a slight on your paint jobs, but I would suggest that 99% of us in this chat tonight cannot paint to that standard. And we certainly can't paint army to that standard. The guys in Games Workshop don't paint armies to that standard. They have an army painter, sort of miniature painters, and then they have their heavy metal guys who paint the kind of characters. Good enough is good enough. Get them on a table. You can always go back later on and you can add some highlights or maybe improve the bases or whatever it is. But just get them done. Mold lines, I think we'll probably upset a few people with that one, Dustin, but I'm kind of coming around to your way of thinking, to be honest. We've got Peninsula Painting Project saying here, another channel to go and check out, guys. Nice to see you in, mate. Tim saying Ewok Mercs, Hang Glider and Catapult. That takes me back to being a kid with the Star Wars Ewok Village toys I had when I was a kid. Oh, kind of got me thinking now, mate. Yeah, maybe Ewoks would be a good idea. Dustin is saying it is 10 to 10 in the morning. He's at work. Well, I'm glad you're at work, mate, and I'm glad hopefully this is making your day go a little bit faster. Michael is saying he's just subbed to Dustin's channel. Nice one. Tabletop Oddity mold lines. I guess if you've come from an X-Wing game, mold lines will be like, what the hell's this, won't it? Because there's certainly, I don't remember there being any mold lines on the X-Wing miniatures. So yeah, it must have been there. But because from what I understand, there's quite a few people coming over from X-Wing and having never played miniatures games before. So it'd be interesting to see how they cope with the hobby side of things. Michael's saying, yeah, you're right. Can't paint heavy metal. I'm better, faster, and uglier. No comment, Michael. I couldn't possibly comment. Peninsula is saying, that's why I do my painting tutorials quick and easy, and you can go back to it. Yeah, get some colour on them, get them on the table, and unless painting is your hobby, unless you really enjoy the painting side, and it's not about getting them on the table, and it's not about speed, by all means, spend as much time as you want if that's the part of the hobby you enjoy. But if you enjoy the playing side, do not stress about the quality of the miniatures. Any paint on your models looks better than grey plastic or looks better than grey resin. So just get something on them and get them done. Marty's saying he's just outside London in Windsor. Not a lot around here. Yeah, you are a little bit far away, mate, aren't you? Maybe we'll have to have an Asgard trip. We'll bring Asgard to you. We'll meet you halfway. Steve is saying, if I miss a mold line that shows what I'm painting, I brush over it with varnish to blend out and then continue painting as normal. I used to be really obsessive about mold lines, and then I realised that I never get anything finished and I never get to play it and nobody gets to see it anyway, so I've kind of stopped stressing about it now. Yeah, Dustin saying, you don't see mold lines when you play it, only when you paint. Yeah, I'm with you now, mate, I'm with you. The problem is, because we all like to share our hobby online, be that Facebook pages, be that sort of showing videos of your miniatures online, really kind of like, you know, motivating each other. The problem is when you take a picture and it's zoomed up on a screen on your phone or on your TV, your monitor, that's when you see the mold lines, and that's when you go, oh, crap, it looks awful kind of thing. Dustin's exactly right. Like, I'm sitting here looking at my miniature, the distance I would be playing at it. I can hardly even bloody see his face, never mind worry about whether there's a mold line on his nose or not. Jens is saying, I think they'll do more troops from the new Star Wars movies, maybe from episode 1, Jar Jar Armies. Well, they're focusing on the galactic war, aren't they? Which is basically Star Wars episode 4, 5, and 6. Which is A New Hope to Return of the Jedi, and will also include Rogue One. So I think that is where they're starting with. There's a lot to go at with that. So I'm not sure whether they will get into the new ones just yet. Maybe it's probably maybe they'll see how that goes, because there's been a hell of a lot of backlash, hasn't there, about the Last Jedi movie and stuff. Jens is crying well after there. Don't even play the game and don't want them. So what's wrong with the Jar Jar army? A nice little Gungan army. You could have all the little kind of underwater. I suppose you couldn't really do an underwater one, could you? Really nice idea. Nice models, maybe. Lee's saying, I did mold lines because everyone else made a deal of it. Very few of my opponents have actually looked closely at my models, and I don't display them, so it's never seen during a game. It was my opponents as well that made me feel bad about mold lines. I think we should start a new movement now about lovers of mold lines. Bollocks to it. Let's just get them I couldn't wait to get their miniatures together and start painting them, and I almost just forgot about mold lines. And do you know what? Is it stopped me enjoying painting the models? Is it balls, right? Bollocks to mold lines. John has just very, very kindly had a donation there for it. John, that is the first one I've ever had. Thank you very much. I really do appreciate it. Nice to have you in, mate. Really, thanks for that. I don't really know what to say. Nobody's ever donated to me before. Got a bit of a shock there. Michael is saying, Missa only playing Kings of War. I think I was meant to say that in Jar Jar Binks' accent as well, wasn't I? Do I dare do that? I might come back to that one. I'm only drinking water tonight. If I'd been on the beer, I might have had me Jar Jar Binks impression. Jay saying, I'm in. Yep. Right, that's it. We now need to. We'll start our own Facebook group. It will be gamers against mold line removal. I'm sure there's probably an acronym in there somewhere, and we'll just let's just plow on. Doesn't matter what anybody else thinks. There's some things really do improve your enjoyment of miniature gaming, and removing mold lines, whilst it might be very therapeutic, it is not. I'm just reading Jamie's comment there. two pages through it. New BlackJack Legacy T-shirt. Bollocks to mold lines. Do you know what it is? I'm gonna take a picture of that now, so I remember to do that, because that's going to be my That is going to be my new t-shirt, right? So let me get a picture of that so I don't forget about it. Bollocks to mold lines. Kieran is in Moldy Old Gamers. Nice to see you, Kieran. I heard your name getting mentioned this morning on a podcast I was listening to about the fantastic work you've done for Mantic on the Dreadball website. So I think it was on Countercharge. I think they did a podcast about Mantic at Adepticon, and Ronnie was giving his chat, and your name came up, mate. So congratulations on doing such a good job to that. Michael is saying, "Say yes to mold lines, and I'll buy the shirt." I need to come up with a good idea for that. Yeah, you got me thinking now. It'll certainly bloody I think it's one of those things that'll get a bit of backlash. It might even get more backlash than the Age of Sigmar versus Warhammer Fantasy video I did. That got me a few cheeky messages. So Kieran saying, "Evening, nice to see you, buddy. I hope you're well." Dustin saying, "Down with the system. We need to make this a thing. eBay Pro Painter support group. Gamers against more lines everywhere." Oh, see, this is it now. I'm feeling a movement happening now. Not that kind of movement like in my stomach. I mean like a bollocks to the mold lines movement. Alan the Man, nice to see you, mate. Saying hi from Belgium. This is a jump in this week in Legion, but it hurts. Because he owns 650 figures from Wizards of the Coast. I tell you what, there's a lot of people complained about the fact that I need to get the name of the game right now. That Star Wars Imperial Assault, that their miniatures were a different scale to these. I can imagine if you've got that many, mate, there'd be a real pain about that. I guess if you got to buy the kits for the tokens and for the cards and everything as well, haven't you? So it's not even like you can kind of just use your own stuff. But nice to see you. I don't think I've seen your name in the chat before, so thank you very much for coming and joining in. Lee saying, "I'll buy that one." See, that's it now. I need to get on that. That's my job for tomorrow night. Get on that. Kieran saying, "Chase chat working on the website at the minute." Yeah, I had a quick look at it myself actually over the weekend. It's looking really good, mate. For anybody that hasn't played Dreadball or doesn't play Dreadball, it's worth going over and checking out the dreadball.com website. Kieran's been doing some great work about setting it up, so there'll be places for people to submit tactics stuff. I think I'm right in saying this, Kieran. Please correct me if I'm wrong. There's places to submit your tactics stuff. There'll be some gameplay videos on there, kind of how to plays or learn to plays. There'll be there's going to be a ranking system on there as well. So if you do play it, you'll be able to see who in your country or who in your town are the highest ranked players. There's some really exciting stuff coming for that. Apollo is saying, "Right, going to call it a night. Keep up the good work. Look forward to checking out your other vids." Thank you very much, Apollo Syndrome. I'm not sure if we've chatted in a Facebook group or anything like that. I think this is the thing, when I see people's names in here, I don't always know what their real names are and stuff. So if it's somebody I know, I apologise. But yeah, thanks Apollo. Thanks for coming in. Jason, the logo should have mold lines on the letters. Oh, that's it. That's it. Do you know what? I'm almost tempted to do something now without. When you're clipping off the sprues and you get that little, the little tag that's on after you've clipped it off, those bits annoy me. I have to clean those ones off. But the mold lines themselves, I do always think, bloody hell, I'm kind of giving myself. They need to think about these mold lines, because I think it was Dustin mentioned it. If they're across the shoulders, they do draw your eye, but if they're in line with the leg, if they're up and down, well, let's do it. It's not a big idea, not a big problem. Yeah, Mark's here. This top idea, Jay. Do you know what it is? So, right, the biggest tip for the night then, the trick to getting big armies on the table quicker is bollocks to mold lines. There you go. I want everybody to come back to this video when it goes live tonight after it's finished. I'll put it up as a video for everybody else to watch. I want you to all come across and get into the chat comments. Bollocks to mold lines. Gamers saying, "Oh my god, have the logo printed on the inside of the shirt. That way you have to wear the shirt inside out and the seam will look like a mold line." Oh. That is genius, Dustin. you might have just come up with. Oh, can you imagine that? Can you imagine me going to the company to get these printed and saying, "I need you to print it on the wrong side, please, and I need to see the seams on the outside." You lot are crazy. You're bloody worse than I am. I can't believe that. Arturo was saying, I have a rule. I only look at my finished miniatures at arm's length away, and I can't see any mold lines then. That's it. Honestly, I think we obsess about it. We obsess about it purely because everybody tells us we should. I mean, Games Workshop sell a mold line removal tool. I've got one. I got pulled into it as well. I got conned by it. It does a good job, but do I really need to obsess about it? No, I don't. Not anymore. That's it. We've got Michael is saying, try to make the label with your logo. Jens is saying, next live chat comes directly from a shirt shop. Do you know? I'm kind of thinking like, you know, the Sex Pistols that never mind the bollocks. That I'm thinking about, you know, like never mind the mold lines we could have, or bollocks. Yeah, I'm interested now. It's got me thinking now. Michael saying that way we can use it on tournaments to piss the opponents off. Yeah, so we've got all these channels that show you some really intricate, really good painting tutorials, and then you've got mine that's saying bollocks to mold lines. Just throw your paint on, just cover it in a wash, and get it on the table. It's like kind of like the anti-hobby, isn't it? That's not how I set out to do this channel. I didn't want to be the anti-hobby, but it feels like tonight that's where we're heading. Revitalize the textile industry. Yeah, having those t-shirts inside out. I bet it would be even more comfortable to wear as well, so you didn't have the seams against your skin. It's a genius idea, really. Dustin said, I do agree with the little gates should be removed after clipping the models off the sprue. Yeah, you got some of the ones on some of the Games Workshop stuff. They're really quite chunky. When you cut them off, it leaves a right old lump of plastic on them. They do take a bit of clean off them ones. Never mind the bollock and mold lines. You realise this video is going to get demonetized now, don't you? Because I've said bollocks that many times now. Although to be fair, that very generous donation by John has probably made me about 2 months worth of YouTube money. So thanks to that. Michael is saying you are the Andy hero of the hobby. It's like be like the kind of like the punk rock. That's what it is. If I had more hair, I would grow a Mohican, like a big bold line down the middle of my head. It'd be like that, the kind of the punk rock of miniature gaming. Just slap some paint on it and get it on a table. That's how you get armies on the table fast. That's it. That's how you do it. So how we're doing for time, guys? Let's have a quick look and see how we are. So we're just over an hour. Everybody happy to crack on for another half an hour? Should we say 10:30? Excuse me. We'll say 10:30 and we'll call it night because I'm having a bit of a laugh here. So I'm quite happy to keep going. So getting back to the point a little bit. What's your suggestions, guys? Is there anything else in there? One thing about getting armies on the table is about setting yourself a deadline, and that can be it can be a tournament, it can be just a deadline like we were saying before that Lee suggested about having small little deadlines where you just agree with one of your mates. That's always a good way of getting big armies on the table as well. Put a bit of light on here as well. Arturo is saying my motto: 4 colours max and a wash. Do you know what it is? I actually very purposefully try to keep my colour palette down to about 4 colours for my rebels. Excuse me. Purely because I wanted them to look coherent. So I'm just kind of looking over now. What I didn't do was paint them all exactly the same. Let me just grab one. So as you can see, we've got one guy here. Let me put him. Who's kind of very kind of khaki coloured. And then I've got this kind of leader here. This doesn't show the greatest on here. Well, he's got like a darker brown coat. but that's the same brown that I've painted his backpack with. So it's all about kind of keeping a coherent kind of colour scheme, but by using less paint. And that makes your army all tying together, but stops it all looking like you've just painted the same miniature. And it also speeds it up. So what you can do is you get your 5 miniatures and you get your dark brown paint, whatever it is, and you go through and you paint that across your 5 miniatures and do it in a bit of a like a bit of production line kind of thing. Jay is saying, out of interest, what browns did you use? I'm going brown. So, bit of a tip here that one of the guys from my gaming group told me about. Halfords sell camo paint for spraying like camouflage colours, and they do a khaki colour. So what I did was, let me just show you. I've primed all of them with this Halfords camo paint. And the reason I did that rather than using my airbrush was purely about trying to speed it up. I managed to spray like everything in like minutes rather than kind of thinning my paint down and priming my miniatures with my airbrush with like a black or a grey, and then priming them with and then base coating them with a colour over that. It was purely about speeding them up and trying to get them table. So there's another tip: coloured primers. You don't have to always go to Army Painter, or you don't always have to go to Games Workshop for them. Their paints are great, I'm not denying that, but you depend upon what you're trying to do. There's others as well. So like I say, these are Halfords camo primers, camo paints. They do them in they do a brown, and they do a green and a khaki colour that you can mix them together. I didn't use any primer underneath these. These went straight onto the bare plastic, and they haven't obscured any of the details. I'm quite happy with them. So yeah, certainly using coloured primers is a big way of speeding them up as well. Then for the other browns, I've used, have a quick look here. I've used Games Workshop Citadel ones. So I've got a Gorthor brown, is a bit of a kind of a mid-brown colour. I've got a Rhinox hide, was the darker brown colour, and then I used a Zandri dust, which was more to highlight back up the camo colour. So those are the browns I've used. Where we got to now? Steve's saying he'll be right back. He's off for a tea break. Mine's milk, mate. No sugars, please, while you're there. Lee's saying, don't like deadlines as such. Gives me anxiety unless it's easily achievable. But playing more often gives you a push to want to paint faster. Yeah, I think deadlines can be counterintuitive. Rather. I think what they can do though is they stop you agonizing about the details and instead just let you. I've got to just get it to this standard and then move on. So it depends upon the way you work best. I work quite well under kind of tight time scales. If I think I've got ages to do something, I'll leave it at the last minute. That's just my nature, unfortunately. Jason, he's had a few Halford colours before, but he's going to spray brown because I bought it already. Yeah, the Halfords ones actually are not too bad. I think, if I remember right, it was like £7 for that spray can versus probably 12, 13 quid, is it now, for Games Workshop ones? Just reading Tim's comment, I'm going brown, not a euphemism. It's been one of them nights tonight, hasn't it? It's been one of those kind of like giggling like a little schoolboy nights at like kind of double entendres. Kieran saying, good to remember, if going down the multi-base route for the likes of Kings of War, you'll never really see the back ranks of big units, so slap the paint on, use Army Painter Quick Shade, and then focus your time on having fun with the front rank of 5 or so for highlighting. The front rank is your reward for the shit at the back. It's a really good suggestion, actually, that you have to, I mean, yeah, one of the things I mentioned about these on the Facebook group was that these Rebel Troopers are 1 wound each. So as soon as you take damage, you're going to start losing them off the board. So it's not like my Darth Vader model. It's not my Luke Skywalker model that's going to see a bit of action. I'm going to maybe spend a bit more time on the details on those guys. These guys are they're almost expendable. So yeah, I ain't gonna worry about it too much. It's a great idea, that one, especially when you've got them ranked up. Your eye will be drawn to the ones at the front. Put the detail on them ones. The ones at the back are going to be kind of almost in a shadow. Great shout, Kieran. Thanks. Jens is saying I primed all of the Chaos Black. Yeah, to be honest, even priming black isn't a bad shout for getting armies done quickly as well. Because any bits you miss when you're painting them, if your brush can't get to them, your eye won't see them. Is basically the way I would kind of say it. So if you prime them with black, you will it'll look like shadow basically, or it'll look like a crease in a cloth or something like that. So priming them black's not a bad shout either if you haven't got any coloured primers. Tim saying using Xandri Dust, Steel Legion, Drab, XV88 and Rhinox Hide. Yeah, great brown colours. Jens is saying will dry brush Stormtroopers first, grey then white. So let me just grab one of mine. What I did with my Stormtroopers when I primed them was they look a bit bluey on screen there, but I think it's just more to do with the light in the camera. I primed them grey, and then I sprayed them kind of white from above, and at a bit of a kind of 45-degree angle coming in. So if I tip them upside down, there's definitely kind of grey underneath. You can kind of see it on the camera there. Oh, it's a bit more kind of grey underneath there. And I'm just trying to give it a bit of a pre-shade, really. Again, I just want to get them on the table quick. So, Nick is saying, has anyone ever used secret weapon paints or washes? I've heard they're really good. I've heard of them as well, but I've never ever used them. If anybody's used them, please give us a little bit of feedback in the comments. Hal Martin is saying, good day, BJL. Oh, I always forget BJL is BlackJack Legacy when I see it down there. Hiya, Hal. Hope you're well. I hope you're having a good Monday evening, morning, wherever you are. Lee's saying, I fear if I skip bits to do later, I won't go back to it. My Fire Slayers need more love, but I'm ready to move on. I think everybody feels like that, Lee. I think you feel if I'll get it to a standard and I might come back to it later on. But do you know what? If you get them to a standard that you're happy to play them and you don't go back to them, it's not really the end of the world, is it? Unless you're really trying to win some painting competitions, like me personally, I'll never win a painting competition at a tournament because my standard, even if I really take my time and I really if I wanted to spend the next year just painting one army, I still don't think I'd win a painting award. So for me, I need to concentrate on the bits that I enjoy, and I definitely enjoy playing more, I think, these days than I used to prefer painting back in the day. Michael is saying, Stormtroopers, how I do it, Korax white undercoat, detail with a dark grey, and wash the model with none oil, dry brush with Korax white. Yeah, I've seen a few videos like that actually, because Korax white is actually a bit of a grey white, actually, isn't it? It's not a bright white. I'm trying to think what their whites are called now, but yeah, their Korax white has got a bit of a grey tinge to it anyway. Dustin saying, for Imperial Assault Troopers, primed it white, painted all the undersuit and ribbon dark grey, then gloss varnish and black oil wash, then wipe back to white and varnish again. I think that's a great shout actually for the Stormtroopers, especially. I mean, sure you're all very much aware of the Stormtroopers. They are very their armor's very shiny in the films as well. So if you gloss varnish them, they'll obviously get that nice bright shine. But then if you do a black wash over the top of that varnish, it really does push the black wash into the creases and into the mold lines, into the kind of where you would want to get your wash highlighting or shading rather. So it's kind of got two sides to it really. One is it'll make the armor look really shiny, but it also really helps when you're using a wash. Lee saying true. Hal saying future plans for covering Legion. So I think I'll be honest, Hal. I think it depends upon how quickly I can get this stuff painted and get my first couple of games in and really get my head around it. Because I've seen a lot of people making Legion videos, and I will include the Dice Tower guys have done some recently. Quite a big kind of YouTube channel and podcasts. And there's, I remember the guy's name now, or his channel name. He's got a huge channel. It's terrible. I can't remember his name. It's Rodney Smith, the is it Let's Play Rodney Smith or something like that. He's done a lot of Legion stuff as well. I feel there's a lot of people who got this kit a bit early, you know, some of the bigger channels, and have just rushed through it actually, and they've missed some of the kind of the nuances of the game. They've made a lot of rules mistakes, and I don't want to do that. I'd rather wait. That's the one, Jay. Watch it played. I'd rather take my time and just get my head around it and do a really good job of it. Rather than doing it a little bit half-arsed. I mean, Jay's been a lot more involved in the rules side of things before the rules were even available. You know, he spent a lot of time looking at what rules were available, playing a little bit of the tabletop simulator stuff as well. So I think he's really, kind of at the minute for me. Jay's my Legion channel. He's the guy I'm going to watch my Legion stuff. But what I would like to do is, somebody asked me to do a painting tutorial thing, because I thought I'd kind of just done basic tabletop stuff. Somebody else said that's the kind of thing that people want to see. So if you guys think it might be something that you want to see, I'm quite happy to do a little bit of how I paint my models. And I also want to do some gameplay stuff as well. So I'd really like to get some gameplay stuff. I think at some point, I'd love to get together with Jay as well, and maybe do a gameplay together, either on his channel or on my channel. Jay's not too far away from me when I'm down in Manchester, so I think at some point in the future we might put them on the spot. Now, we've not really talked about this, so he might not want to play me. Let's have a look at some of these chats. So we've got Michael saying, how I do my Ultramarines. Yes, I do have them. You don't strike me as an Ultramarines player, Michael. Undercoat blue can. None oil. Dry brush with Ultramarine blue. They look factory clean painted. Yeah, everybody telling me it's Watch It Played. Thanks for that. Hal saying, thanks for the ad. I'm sure there are lots of channels, but your take on things is exciting, so hope you're covering it somewhat. Thank you very much. That's very kind. I never thought of me as exciting. I'm sure my wife wouldn't agree, but thank you. Yeah, I mean, I think for me, it's always a case of, if there's people doing, like, one of the reasons I've kind of stayed away from 40k stuff, and for one of the reasons I don't play it, I think there's other channels cover it much better than I probably could. I do all these videos myself. I don't have a kind of like somebody that comes like and helps me with the videos. I don't have anybody that plays kind of at home regularly with me. So I've kind of stayed away from some of the stuff that I think other people do better. But with Star Wars, I can feel this is probably the game that I'm definitely going to kind of get sucked into long term. I think this is going to be my main kind of big army game, I think. So yeah, if you guys want to watch it, I'll make the videos. Let's put it that way. Mark saying, so after Legion painting, then Shadespire, then Gaslands. Yeah, I've got my Gaslands cars are on the floor over there. Actually, I'm doing a bit of a rejig of my hobby room at the minute to try and get a bit more space. Let me know down in the comments there if anybody wants to see a video of my hobby space once I'm all finished. Is that something that will be interested in seeing in a video? And I'll maybe do that one as well one day. But yeah, Gaslands is something I need to get to as well. Jane saying, some of these channels won't be doing it in a few weeks. Yeah, you're definitely right, mate. I think there'll be a lot of channels that spring up around this. But as you guys who've got channels will know, getting through that first 6 months as a new channel is really tough, because that's the point where you realize if this is something that you want to do kind of longer term. I think people think it's easy, but it actually takes up a lot more time than you think. Jason, he would love it. Yeah, let's get that sorted, Jay. I'm sure once we get our armies painted, let's get a game in. Phil saying bat reps and painting sounds fun. Yep, sounds cool. I'll do some of that. And I mean, the painting stuff I'm doing anyway. What I need to do is just kind of set my cameras up and stuff like that. The bat reps, we'll try and get one in with Jay, I think. Michael saying, what do you think I play than Andy? You know what it is? I think you'd be more of an orc player, mate. You've got that kind of that wah about you. I think it is. JC, randomly speaking about mold lines, spent ages removing mold lines on some Primaris Marines, only not to do anything with them. Yeah, that tends to be what happens. You can sometimes get a little bit sucked into the prep work, and actually the fun bit of it gets lost a little bit, doesn't it? Jason, I say also Michael saying so recognizable on it. Kieran saying, yeah, show us the hobby pad when you're done. No worries, mate. I've kind of one of the big things I've done is I've moved my big gaming table out of here and down into my garage to try and give me a bit more space to try and set it up in here so I can start filming. Because I used to have my little studio thing set up in the garage, but then when the weather wasn't great with the snow and stuff, it was a bit cold in there. So I'm trying to get set up in here, really. Trying to get the sound deadened down a little bit as well, because you get a bit of echo in this room. Jens is saying, will you build some terrain and scenery? I'm not sure, Jens, actually. I might do. I tend not to make scenery myself because it takes me quite a while to do it. So that's time I could be spending making more videos. And the stuff that Jay's done is he seems to knock them out quite quick. I'm sure he's just got like a load of kind of child labour or something going on, and he's knocking out this terrain dead quick, because I couldn't do it that quick. So I'm not sure. I'm not sure if I'm honest, Jens. Kieran saying, don't panic on finding more space. You'll only fill it up with more stuff anyway. It's more about creating space so I'm not keep climbing over myself. When I had my big gaming table in here, it was great for playing on, but if I was trying to film in here, there was no space to put lights and stuff like that. So yeah, it's more just about trying to make it more productive, I think. Michael's laughing there, saying just started an Orc army, 6 models in. See, I could tell you're an Orc player through and through. Steve is saying, need a tutorial on changing your hobby room into a TARDIS. 6 of us in a 2-bedroom house. Yeah, that's tough. I'll be honest, Steve. I'm really fortunate. We moved almost a year ago now. I've got a nice garage. Speaking of nice garages, you want to have a look at Blumman Dustin's pictures of the nice house he's just moved into. He's got a lovely big garage space as well. I've got a nice garage that I've got a bit of space in there, and I've got this room, which is basically one of our spare rooms, which is actually one of the bigger ones as well. That my wife's very kindly let me use as a hobby room as well. So I am really fortunate, and I take it for granted sometimes, I think. Michael's saying, Andy, you see you'll be starting Kings of War Army, and I'll deliver you the first multi-bases. Do you know what? I think... Let me think about... I think if once I get Star Wars Legion stuff, Peter, I might try and pick up a little elite Kings of War Army just to give it a try. I'll head down to Asgard, give it a game, and then take it from there. Jamie saying, talking to Scenery, did you see the Red Beam news earlier? I did, Jamie, actually. I mentioned it right at the start of the stream. Graham was in here when we first started streaming. So for those that weren't in at the start, if anyone that hasn't seen it, Red Beam Designs, who made a lot of MDF's terrain and scenery, they were the guys that made the big Necromunda stuff that I had on my channel. It seemed to get quite a lot of views. People seem to like it. They've sold their business to War Cradle Studios. So it means all of the Walking Dead stuff that they were doing, all of the Batman miniature stuff that they were doing, all of that really good, the Shadespire terrain, the Shadespire tournament boxes and things, that's all now going to be continued to be made, which is great news. Jason, don't have tables worth of terrain, just have a random mismatch of anything. Do you know what it is? I don't think that's a bad thing, mate. Honestly, I think we all secretly want to have these fantastic big Games Workshop standard terrain tables. But in reality, they look great to look at and they look great on YouTube videos. But in reality, we just want to roll some dice and have some fun. And that's that. Do you know what it is? If we take nothing else away from tonight's stream, really, is we're all in this just to have fun and to have a laugh and to play with your mates and paint your models or whatever you're doing. Don't worry about mold lines. Don't worry about heavy metal standard paint jobs. Don't worry about having the best terrain or the best mats or whatever it is. Just enjoy your hobby. Just get your miniatures out, get your dice rolling, and have a bit of fun. Jens is saying, yeah, time and child's sometimes a problem, but that I will let work be done by a 3D printer in the future for some parts. Yeah, I think Steve's definitely Steve from Steve Smallworth, he's done a bit of 3D printing stuff. and it's definitely something I'd love to get interested in. I think Jay, did you pick up a 3D printer as well? I'm sure I've seen some stuff on your channel about it as well, mate. Alan is saying you need to be Star Wars fan to understand Star Wars. All the other YouTubers are Jar Jars. Jar Jars. Poor people. Andrew Pierce, nice to see you, Andrew. Hope you're well. Saying always use Halford's primer. White, black, and grey are fab. You get lots of money done, and they're big cans. Yeah, the big cans are excellent value. Actually, I've used the greys and the whites for a real long time. Dustin is saying, yeah, garage is glorious. Yeah, I've got a bit of garage envy going on there, Dustin. Mine has still got boxes in from when I moved. Actually, that were not unpacked properly yet. I'm fortunate to have a double garage, and I've got plenty of space, but it's just filled with junk at the minute that I need to sort. I say get some more lining up today so we can build a hobby bench and get the space workable. Yeah, if anybody needs to do a hobby tour, it'll be you, Dustin, when that's finished. That's for sure. Kieran saying I'm here for the mold lines. I'm only here for the mold lines. There's another t-shirt there. Michael saying have War Squire Citadel painted on the channel. So, yeah, head over and check that out. Sigmarite Mausoleum, custom battle mat. Yeah, you have got quite a bit of stuff on there, haven't you? Quite a bit of terrain stuff. Mold lines for life, yeah, for mold lines. I'm feeling a bit of love for these mold lines. Saying Andy, share some pics on your group of the Star Wars minis if you already haven't. Might collect them. I've put some up there, mate. I think I put some up yesterday. Go and check them out. I put some up of them without paint on, and some of the ones I've been painting. Might have seen a mini without them is not normal miniature. Yeah, you're right. Doesn't say 3D printing is fantastic for terrain. Yeah, Steve is saying mixing 3D printing with crafting saves a lot of time. Yeah, I mentioned before about Steve's Necromunda terrain where he's mixed kind of, I think it was like a soft drinks can or a beer can with some 3D printed kind of added bits to it. And it looks really, really effective. It looked great. Jay's saying, have a 3D printer, not something I suggest for casual use yet. Maybe wait a year or so. Should only get better and better. I think it's interesting that they've come down in price so much really from where they were, and so they are becoming affordable from a hobby perspective. I suppose if I think about how much, excuse me, how much I paid for my airbrush and my compressor and the spray booth, I could probably buy a 3D printer for the same price now. Where Mark is saying, added some pictures of my dice tray on the Facebook group. Not the best pictures, but it was so cheap at 99 pence. Tell you what, mate, let me know down here. Do you mind if I share them? Excuse me. Let me know if you don't mind me sharing them, mate, and I'll pop them up for everybody to see. Where are we? Andrew saying, thank you for making this pile of marking more bearable, dude. I assume you're a teacher, mate, are you? And you're going through marking people's work. Yeah. If anybody mentions mold lines, give them an A+ from me, okay? Jamie saying, come for the chat, stay for the mold lines. That might be my new sort of banner across the Facebook group. came for the chat, stayed for the mold lines. Mark's saying go for it. Right, so Mark's been making an LED dice tray, so let me just pop it up. How cool is that? I'm quite impressed, Mark. Tell you what, mate, you want to start knocking them out. How have you done that then, mate? Let us know how you've done that. Quite impressed with that. Where are we now? We're saying behold the mold. Behold the mold. Oh god, so many ideas now. Dustin saying, right, should go and have his morning break. I love the fact that he's watching this while he's working, but he's leaving us to have his break. Interesting. Tim saying, nice. It's 11 by 11 inches, Mark. That's quite a sizable dice tray, that, mate, isn't it? I like that. Bit of nighttime gaming there. Bit of mood lighting. I tell you what, you got me thinking now. I could quite happily put those kind of LEDs around the edge of my gaming table. Oh, I tell you what, I shouldn't have seen that now. Too much to think about there now. Right, folks, I'm going to call it a night now because we're at 10:30 UK time. I've got to be up for work in the morning, and I've got a few things to do tonight before I go to bed. So I just want to thank everybody that's been in the chat tonight. I can honestly say I think this has been one of my one of the best streams I've done, and I don't mean I've been great. Thank you very much. I mean, I've just had a real good laugh. It's been a great chat. There's been a real good mix of people in tonight. Thank you. Thanks again. Thanks everybody for coming in. Thank you very much as well to thank you very much to John for the donation as well. Kind of took me by surprise that I wasn't expecting that one. So thank you very much. Again, anybody that isn't a member of the Facebook group, come over, join the Facebook group. There'll be a link down in the description of this video. And every Tuesday I put a post up where you can suggest topics for these videos. So no doubt I'll get some more videos up this week. I've got my Hellboy interview video coming up next week. It's been delayed by a week because of NDAs. So I've got the Hellboy video coming up next week now. But yeah, I might try and get some Star Wars stuff up this week, I think. But thanks everyone for watching. And I'll see you all in the next video.